It's Rook. And today I want to talk about the progressive removal of skill from Dead by Daylight. This is something that has really taken the spotlight when the devs announced the collision rework for Blight. So they put it as we want to improve the collision so that new players don't slide off object that they were meaning to bump into. But that also meant removing hug tech, which was, I was about to say is, but no, was, a very versatile tool in the hands of more experienced blind players. And it wasn't difficult to pull off. Like, it wasn't difficult to actually hug an object. You just had to hump it and press M2, basically. But what it took skill, the part that took skill was using it correctly to outplay a survivor at a loop. And once you were a little bit more familiar with Blight, it was like a tool in your arsenal. I'm not very good at Blight. I've never been particularly interested in getting good at Blight. But it was a thing that you will learn and you will use it wrong for a pretty long time, then you will start to use it right. It was cool. It was nice and it was skillful. Not to mechanically execute, but to execute in the right way at the right time. But it was removed. And the players didn't like it. I have seen very few positive feedbacks about the removal of hug tech. Some people were like, yeah, I like it more. But even if you like it more, even if you prefer the blight without hug techs, that was something that was part of the skill required to play the character. Because what goes in the skill, diagram, what goes in the skill backpack is things that you learn with time. Skill is not just mechanical skill. Skill is also skill of execution, skill of timing, knowing when to do something, not simply knowing how to do it. I've seen people saying, well, Hagtech was not skillful. Well, yes, it was not technically difficult, but that doesn't mean that pulling it off to actually play a survivor was not skillful, right? And yeah, this is basically how the debate is going on these days. But I would like to point out that this is not how it's starting, and that's why I'm concerned. This is how it's going on, how it's continuing. I think this removal of skill, like it all started about 1 year ago, maybe a little bit more, when BHVR reworked items, specifically flashlights and medkits. Now, the whole patch was focused on reworking medkits because they were too strong, especially green medkits, in my opinion. And it was very well received, especially by the killer mains population, of course. But in between, they slipped like a flashlight rework. It was not a buff, it was not a nerf, it was a little bit of both. So on one side, they made it easier to get a flashlight save, which I'm not opposed to it. Like right now, I get blinds or I get blinded by flashlight saves that are so early, like they wouldn't have worked at all 1 year ago. But I'm okay with that. Like I don't mind. What I do mind though is that they removed skillful interaction with killer powers. And they made kind of a mixed bunch. Like some of the interaction they removed were deserving of being removed. For example, the interaction with Hag's trap. So Hags was in this very peculiar spot where if you had a flashlight, she would probably keep Franklin because you could burn her traps, but you had no other way to remove them. Like you either crushed on them or you triggered them while she was distracted. There was no other way. And yeah, I think that was pretty unfair. And now you can just wipe them. And that was, again, pretty well received by everyone except for the Agmains, of course. But other things were removed for seemingly no reason. For example, the possibility of light burning a nurse. So they removed the light burn as a mechanic entirely. So if you've been playing more recently, like this year, you probably don't even know what light burn is. It was the possibility of stunning a nurse or a wraith for 5 seconds when interacting with them with a flashlight in a specific moment, which for wraith was when they were cloaked, and for nurse was I think when they were holding a blink. I never pulled it off. It was very difficult though. Like for wraith it was very easy to pull off. For nurse it was for some reason really hard. Now, removing the possibility of light burning a wraith, especially because the stun was very long, completely fine to me. But the nurse, it was difficult to pull off. Again, I've never done it. I've never done it. Never managed to do it, not that I didn't try. And I think I've it done to me when playing nurse maybe once or twice for the entire time I played nurse. Why removing this? It was a skillful interaction that took a lot of practice. I think that if you ask someone that is a really good survivor player, that maybe has been playing for like 4 years, ask them how many times they light burned a nurse. I don't think we go into more than like 10 or 20. And we're talking about years of play. And that was removed, as it was the same thing of light burning a braid. It wasn't. Still, the interaction between flashlights and killer powers remains in some cases. You can still blind the Legion out of the frenzy, and that is why Legion can pull Legion attacks, and you can still blind Nemesis zombies. So that was a little bit arbitrary. Some interactions were removed, some were not, but I feel like some of the most skillful interaction, for example, that one with Nurse, was removed for no reason. But anyway, some of these were really, really skillful interactions, and they were removed. Hug Tech, again, a skillful interaction. I think a lot of survivors enjoyed playing against Blight with Hug Techs. It was less telegraphed, it was more interactive, more chaotic, and more skillful, and that has gone. My question is, what's next? Because I'm scared. A lot of things in Dead by Daylight are unintended mechanics, right? A lot of things that we enjoy are unintended mechanics, and they've been in the game for very long. One of the reasons why Behavior removed the hug tech was that it was an unintended mechanic. First of all, like my first reaction has been, okay, if it was an unintended mechanic and people playing Blight were using it when it was unintended, so a bug, they were exploiting, right? Like they were exploiting on stream, and you have proof of it. Why are they not all banned if they were exploiting? Your words, Behavior, your words. Maybe they were not exploiting. Maybe the mechanic was actually fun and it was worth keeping in the game, but just my 2 cents. Anyway, yeah, the question is what's next? There's so many unintended mechanics that I would be very sorry to see gone. That define the skill of a killer, that define the skill of survivors. And it seems to me that Behavior is going towards the direction of making it a little bit more flat, making it so it's easier for new players to do flashy things they may have seen on YouTube. See, just the introduction of background player. Background player does not require you to position correctly for a save. You're just faster than light and you get it if you are like in the same map as the person being downed. And everyone can unlock it. Like you just get the DLC, you get the perk, and that's it. Is this part of the plan? I'm scared to ask, and I'm more scared of the answer, honestly. Because this game has so many little things on both Killer and Survivor that make it interesting and skillful. You can strafe with Nemesis Tentacle, you can drag Xenomorph Tail, you can Legion tech with Legion, of course, it's my favorite thing. You can do so many attacks with Wesker, and so many things that I probably don't even know about. You can 180 with Oni, that's absolutely unintended. And all of these things contribute to keeping long-time players interested because there is only a certain amount of time you can dedicate to this game if everything is very flat. If every speed killer has the same kind of mechanics, if every territorial killer has the same kind of mechanics, all it's gonna change is basically the animations they use. And people that have a lot of hours, they're gonna fall out of love because what is there for them to do? One of the reasons that keeps me playing is that I wanna learn new mechanics. Like, for example, right now I really enjoy playing Hillbilly and Death Slinger and Unknown. But then at some point, I'm gonna be good at them, right? Like, I'm gonna be very good. I'm gonna know the characters very well, and maybe I'm gonna be interested in something else that also has interesting, different mechanics. What if these mechanics get removed? I understand. I understand that behavior cares more about gaining new players because they will have to grind for everything, while older player, they've already bought everything they wanted to buy with shards or whatever, and they're just gonna give them the money for the occasional cosmetic or the DLC every 3 months. I see that, but I don't think it really hurts new players to keep skillful things in game. I don't think it hurts new player if Oni can 180 flick or if Legion can Legion tech. That's not gonna hurt new players. They're not gonna go against that before like a month or two, hopefully, and they're not gonna be able to pull it off, but they're gonna see it on YouTube and they will have something to grind for. Because believe me, behavior, if you make it all too simple, people are not just gonna ping pong from one character to another. They will just drop the game. Doesn't matter how new they are, they will try one, try two, see a little bit of video and say, oh, this is all the same, and just go. Keep what makes every character unique. Keeping long-term players into the game is also gonna hone a favorable environment for new people. The work that people that are experienced in this game, me included, okay, not the most experienced, but me included, are putting out in order to interest new players, in order to guide new players, is priceless. And for myself and for you, I hope you will not have to discover what the game is without it. Thanks for watching and have a really good day.